Hello and welcome. This is a video that I'm making for YouTube, and it is in the same series as my fingering video I just recently made. My video was titled Why I No Longer Write Fingerings into My Score. And I also, shortly thereafter, I made a video on learning a very difficult Liszt work, which is the Benediction of God in Solitude, from his religious and poetic and religious harmonies. And I'm sort of just combining these together, and I've selected a passage or several measures out of this Liszt work, this very difficult Liszt work, to show examples of how I would go about figuring out fingerings, even if there's fingerings written into the score. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. I first want to point out that the score I'm using here, and I'm going to have it for you here on an image that you can follow along with, is a Bärenreiter edition. Bärenreiter is a really top-notch publishing company that publishes primarily urtexts, original texts, and their manuscripts are pretty good for the most part. So they have a very good reputation for high quality editions. They are along the lines of like Henley, the Henley editions, which I'm sure you're all familiar with here, the blue editions. Henley and Bärenreiter are some of the best editions out, and which really have good manuscripts, and you can usually rely on them for being accurate with notes and rhythms and that sort of thing. But the reason I point these out, that I bring these to your attention, is that you have to realize in that figuring out fingerings, whether you're using reputable editions like Henley editions or Bärenreiter editions or other reputable editions like this, when you figure out fingerings, one problem is that you have to realize that the people giving the fingerings in these editions are just people. Okay? They're only human beings, and they are prone to error. I point that out because we are going to see in these examples from this Bärenreiter edition, there are some pretty questionable and actually pretty bad fingerings given. The same with Henley. I've realized through my experience of many years of playing piano that Henley is excellent, has excellent editions. They're great manuscripts. They're reputable. They don't make mistakes, but the fingerings are often really bad. Okay, the fingerings in Henley editions are not very good, in my opinion, generally speaking. The fingerings in Bärenreiter editions, at least judging on what I can see in this, are not very good. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. And this is the reason why I'm doing this video on fingering, is to show you that, really to expose the flaws in fingerings in some of these editions, and especially in this example I'm going over in the Liszt, that you can't always rely on the fingerings given by the editors of these books. Yes, sometimes they're good, so sometimes you can use their fingerings, sometimes you shouldn't, and you should use your own fingerings. So I'm going to show you how to go about figuring out what the best fingerings are and what some of the solutions are for fingering. Okay. So in my last video that I made, I explained how I went about learning a very new work, the Benediction of God, or the Blessing of God in Solitude by Liszt. And I explained, played through the first section very slowly and explained how I go about learning that in the first couple days of learning. It's a very difficult work. And I want to focus now on, in this video, I only want to focus on measures 156 through 178. So these are the measures we're going to focus on in this video, and I'm going to go and explain to you how I go about figuring out, or how you should go about figuring out fingerings in your music that you're working on using this as an example. So let's start with the measure 156. You can see it up here. You can see the image. So I'm just going to focus on the right hand here. We're not going to get into the left hand. Okay, so whether you roll that or whether you not roll it is really not the point here. But you can see that they give fingerings, okay? So let's try out the fingerings they have here. So I'm assuming that this A sharp and D sharp are going to be played with 3/5. They didn't indicate that, but they really should have. Okay, so that's their first mistake. Is they assume that you assume what that should be. So they should mark the fingers for these notes here. So I'm just going to assume 3/5. Okay, they have 2/4, fine. 1/3, fine. Okay, let's try 2/4, 1/3, fine. That works okay. Now, okay, now they want you to go from 1/3 to 5/3 to 4/2. Now I find 3/5 and 4/2 here, even though it's possible. I mean, I can stretch that. It's not impossible, but it's a little awkward. So let's try their fingering here. And then you have on the bottom two notes, C sharp and F sharp. You have 1, 3. Okay, well, in my opinion, I think that's a subpar fingering. I really think the person who was doing these fingerings wasn't really thinking correctly, or they didn't really think a whole lot about it. I would do this. I think this is a much better fingering than they have. 3/5, 2/4, yes, correct. 1/3, yes, correct. Now, instead of going to 2/4 on C sharp and F sharp, just go to 1/2. It's as simple as that. 1/2. So you get all of that in one sweep, all of that in one motion here. You have 1/2. Now, well, if you do that, then you really can't use the rest of their fingerings either. You can't use 1/3. So why don't we just do this? Use a little logic here. If we played 3/5 here, 3/5 on the C sharp and F sharp, and I'm sorry, on the A sharp and D sharp. If we play 3/5 on the A sharp and D sharp here, and you play 1/2 there, well, simply go 3/5 again. So you have 3/5 here, you have 3/5 here. And if you do that, you can just continue it on down the line. So you have two series of the exact same fingering combinations. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. And you're at the bottom. I think that is much better than their fingering. So I would use that. But as I specified in my video about writing and fingerings, I'm not writing those in. I can remember those, okay? So I'm just leaving their fingerings as is, and I'm going to remember, oh, okay, I'm not going to play their fingering. I'm going to play my fingering there. So we have will be a little break after here, but that's okay because you're going to have pedal to cover up that break. It's really physically impossible to play every single note 100% legato. That's what I would do there. Now, going back. Just do the same thing. So 2, they have, let's see what they have. Well, they have 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. I mean, that's okay, but not the greatest. Then here's where it really gets bad. They have 1, 4, then 2, 4. Who in their right mind would do that? That's just bad fingering. It's really bad. Okay? And then they have 1, 3, and it's just not good fingering. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in these first 2 measures you have so you can get all of that in large movements using 5, 4, 3, 2. Now let's look at the next measure. Measure 158. What do they have? 3, 5, fine. That's good. Fine. Good, that works. That works. That works. Good, fine. Nothing wrong with that, the fingering in that measure, I think. Although another possibility is, and I've tried this out, you could do this if you want. 5, 4, 3. Instead of going to 2, 5, you could go 1, 2. And then you could go 5, 4, 3, 2. So that is possible. That's a pretty good fingering too. Or you could do as they have 5, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 3. So either one of those works, but you have to decide what you want. Do you want more crossing over the thumb or less crossing over the thumb? If you do that, if you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, you only have to cross over your thumb once. If you do their fingering, you have to cross over your thumb an extra time, which is not bad because they're on strong beats. I actually kind of like that. So I think when I first learned this, the first day, I did 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. Then I realized, oh, well, their fingering is pretty good here. So now I'm sort of using that one. And this is very typical for fingering that I found. When I work on pieces, sometimes I'll find a fingering I like. And then maybe a couple days later I'll find one, well, this one works just as well, maybe even better. I'll try this one out. And so this is a very good example where fingering is not black and white. There is not one correct fingering for anything. There are less efficient fingerings and more efficient fingerings depending on your hands. So that's my philosophy about this. So anyway, for now I'll just play their fingering, which is okay. Now let's move on to measure 159. Okay, so 1, 2, good. 1, 3, 2, 4, fine, fine. Now they have, after 3, 5, they go to 2, 5. That's weird. 3, 5 here to 2, 5. And this goes relatively quickly. So that's really weird. And then after that, you go to 1, 3. That is really weird fingering. So let's change that measure. Well, let's look at it logically. If you go 2, 3, 4, 5. You're getting all those in one movement, in one sweep. Well, just simply reposition your hand and do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sort of just jump right into place. I mean, if you have a really small hand in a small stretch, that might not be good. But if you can reach it, if you can reach it, I would suggest playing 1-2 there. So it's 1-2 here, and it's 1-2 here. So you're getting a 4-note slur and a 4-note slur. That's much better than their fingering. Their fingering is really bad. You know, this idea of playing 3-5 here and 2-5 here, and then 1-3 here, no, do not do that. Okay, let's look at measure 160. So we have, and they don't have 5 here, but I would put 5. So 3-5, good. 2-4, 3, good. Good, that's fine. Good, that's fine. That works fine. This is actually just like measure 158. Remember 158? 2 measures ago we had 5-4-3, 5-3, 4-3. So this one is exactly the same, but it's in a different key. 5-4-3, 5-3, 4-3. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that measure. Let's look at measure 161. So they have 1-2, 1-3, 2-4, 3-5, and they do it again. 1-2. Good. Fine. Nothing wrong with the fingering in that measure. We have 2 4-note slurs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, as I said, it's like I said before, when you have pedal, you're not even going to hear that break. The break from here to here. See, so that's an example where it's technically should be all legato, but you're really not playing them all legato with your fingers. You are doing some of that with the pedal. So let's look at now 162. 5, 4, 3. Now let's try their fingering. 5, 4, 3, 2. That's fine. That's okay. But what about this? What they have is 5, 4, 3, and then they cross here and go 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, what about the other way around? What about first 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 5, 4, 3, or actually better, 4, 3, 2. So that's what I prefer. I prefer actually 5, 4, 3, 2, then go to 2, 4. Because look, when you go 1, 2, and you cross to 2, 4, that's less movement than if you do, the crossing they have is from 1 to 2 here, to 3 to 5, I'm sorry, they have, 1, 3 here, okay, and then they have 3, 5 here. So, compare this to this. This one is less movement. So you always want to choose the one that's more efficient with the less movement. So that's why 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2 is better in my opinion. So I'm going to change it to that fingering. So I'm not going to use their fingering in that measure. Now let's go on to the next measure. It's way up here. 5, 4, 3. And then we have a 2, 4, and a 3. That's really weird. Why don't they go 2, 5? I mean, that's... So their first mistake is that this 2, 4 should be really a 2, 5. And then this should be a 2, 4. And then this can be 1, 3. So we have 5, 4, 3. 5, 3, 4, 3. That's better than 5, 2 here is better than 4, 2. Okay, try it out for yourself. You'll see. Then, the next measure, they don't have any fingering in it, but I'm assuming they want something similar to the previous measure. So, if this measure was 5, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 3. Let's try it for this measure. 5, 4, 3. 5, 3, 4, 3. Well, it doesn't work, but this works. 5, 4, 3. 4, 3. 5, 3. So you have... Sorry, it starts here. That works fine. So you have a 3-note group, you have a 2-note group, and another 2-note group. Another possibility, and I tried this out, you could go 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 5, 4, 3. I think when I first learned it, I did that. Then I started experimenting with this one. I think I like this one better. The 3-note group, then 2 notes, followed by 2 notes. The reason is because the previous measure was also like that. We have a 3 notes, and you have 2 and 2. Then you have, in the next measure, you have 3, 2, 2. And then the next measure, measure 165 does the same. Like 2 measures before, and then now in 166 they give some fingers there. I don't know why they give fingering there, but not in 164, because it's the same measure. They're the same notes, or almost, I guess, similar notes, I think. But they have 5, 4, 3, 2. That works. But I like three-note group, 2 notes, and then 2 notes. I like that better than the way they have, because if you take their fingering, you have to go from 1, 3 here to 3, 5 here. That's more awkward than going 1, 3 here and 1 and 2, 4 there. That's why I would do 3, 2, 2. And that way it lines up with the previous 3 measures. So from measure 163 to 166, you can see you have in all 3 measures, you have 3 3-note groups, then you have a 2-note and a 2-note group. So you're crossing 2 times, with your crossing over your thumb 2 times. So let's try that in 167. In 167, it's sort of similar, but now we're starting on C sharp and F sharp. So I'm going to go 5, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 3. They have this, 5, 4, 3, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's really weird. They have going from 1, 3 here to 3, 5. That's pretty weird to do that. It's much easier to go from 1, 3 here to 2, 5 to 1, 3 and then to 2, 4 and 1, 3. I think mine is better. And once again, you have 3 notes, 2 notes, and then 2 notes. So now, so far, we have 5 measures in a row that have 3 plus 2 plus 2 with the crossings. Now let's go to the next measure. Good, 5, 4, 3, that's fine. Then they have 5, 4, 3, 2 again. So they have 5, 4, 3. Then once again they go to 3, 5. That's weird. That's a kind of an awkward crossing. That's why I don't like their fingering in this measure either. I would go 5, 4, 3, and then cross 5, 3, and then cross 4, 3. Once again, for the 6th measure in a row, we have a 3-note group, and a 2-note group, and a 2-note group. Now, the reason, of course, it's possible to do these with different fingerings, but the reason why I'm choosing the 3 plus 2 plus 2 is that happens in 6 measures in a row. Okay, so, or actually, hold on. Yeah, in 6 measures in a row. So starting with measure 163, we have 3 notes, 2 notes. Then the next measure, 3 notes, 2 notes. And then 3 notes, 2, 2. Then the next measure, 3, 2, 2. And the next measure, 3, 2, 2. And the next measure, 3, 2, 2. So that's one way that will help you remember those fingerings and memorize it, is by just simple fact that you have 3 plus 2 plus 2 for 6 measures in a row. Now let's look at what they have next. This is a very difficult part to read and to figure out, but I've put some brackets on the notes, and those the top bracket there is not a bracket that has to do with fingering, but it's a bracket rather that has to do with the pattern that's being played there. So if you look, first let's look at that bracket where you have, starts with an F sharp and a C sharp here. Then you have a D sharp, A sharp. So that bracket is, and for those notes, I would choose 2, 5, 1, 3, 1, 2. This is why sometimes it's better not to start from the very beginning of the passage. Like, it might be difficult to determine the fingering in the very beginning of the passage up here, but if you can find like places and bracket them, then that's very helpful. So, now, going forward to measure 172, you can see that same pattern happens again. So I put a bracket there also in measure 172. So they have, for the fingering here, they have 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4. That's just weird. It's easier to do this. So I don't like their fingering there. Then they have like the same thing an octave lower. I don't like that either. So okay, let's work backwards. one way to figure out fingerings is to sort of work backwards. So if I'm using 2-5 on the first notes of this bracketed sequence here, then if we work sort of backwards, so either 1-2 or 1-3 would work on the notes before that. They have 5. I wouldn't use 5. I would use either 2 or 3 on that. Ah, there we go. Okay, look and measure 169. Measure 169. You see the next to the last eighth note or quaver there? C sharp and F sharp. If you play 1-2 on there, then it gives you a perfect, and you can play 1-2 on there as well. But I like, so you can substitute though for 1-2. You can play 2-5. So if you go like this, then you have your bracketed. That. So let's try it now once again from the second to the last eighth note in measure 169. So we have 1-2. We have that. So now let's go back to the beginning of the sequence. So in order to land on 1-2 here, I'm working backwards. You could go 1-3 on here and 2-4 on here. And then, which means in the beginning, you could play 5-3-2, and then 4-3-2. Then you go up, all 5 fingers, then you have your bracketed sequence. Then this is the same, starting from here. I'm sorry, let me try that again. It's hard to read this, by the way, and talk at the same time. So we have, yeah, okay. Then after you play 1-2, 2-4, so you want to be on 1-2 there. And I actually put, you see the brackets below that line in the bass clef. Well, actually it's treble clef, but it's the bottom stave. You see where I have those numbers? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those aren't finger numbers. Those are counting numbers. So you have 1, 2. You have 1, 2. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So it repeats an octave lower. See? So starting from the beginning now, we have and I just stopped there where I have that little asterisk right there. That's the bottom point, and I'm going to play 1, 2 there. So once again, from the beginning, we have a 3-note group. Then we cross, we have another 3-note group, and then we go up. Now we're going to cross. This is the bracket. And then we're going to cross. Now another bracket. Cross. And then you're at the bottom. This is the most logical fingering I could think of. And now from here, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. Then now we're in measure 174. So it's easiest just to go 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. 5. 3, 4, 5. What do they have? Well, they have 3. They have really crazy fingering there. I would not use it. 4, or 4, 3, 5. They have 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Their fingering makes no sense at all. You know, they should hire people who know how to do fingerings, because this is ridiculous. I mean, for such a reputable edition as Bärenreiter, and have such shitty fingerings, you know. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Like that. They don't give any fingerings for the left hand. But I followed the same sort of theory with the left hand, is the bracketed notes are the same in both. So here's what I would use in the left hand. 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we put it together, we have, I'm going to play it with no pedal, from measure 169. So we have that. Then if you add pedal, you have So I sort of did a little half pedal in there. Well, you see, this is a good example of where they have fingerings in the addition, but probably 50%, at least 50% of those fingerings are questionable or sometimes even bad. So as a pianist, you have to figure out what seems like the most logical fingering. Do not always believe what you read on the page. Yes, sometimes they have good fingering advice, but half the time they don't. So you need to figure that out. So this is a good learning experience for you, because I've taught piano for a long time, and many students are under the impression that you have to play the fingering that's on the page because they know better than you. They do not know better than you. I don't know who they hire to do their fingerings, but they need to hire better people to do their fingerings. Maybe they need to hire me or something, because they don't know how to put fingerings on music in this Bärenreiter edition and also in the Henley edition. They're notoriously bad fingerings. It's good that, you know, they supply some good fingerings. That's good. That's fine. But in the cases where they have questionable fingering, you need to solve that. And so I hope that this video helped you in learning about fingering, the whole process of going about figuring out fingering logically. And the general rule with fingering is the least movement, the better. So you want to keep the economy of motion at the absolute minimum if you can, and eliminate awkward crossings and things like that they have here. So I hope that this helped you out, and I look forward to more videos like this in the future. Until we meet again.